I played a concert in Paris at the Kabbalat, and then I also walked the chemin de Saint Jacques.
No, I meant to do something to your back.
Oh,
I followed your whole trip. I was there with you.
oh, thank you.
Did you hurt it?
No, it's mostly just like here. It's probably from that bow or
Like the tension from home or something?
yeah.
Do you have good meds of some sort?
I've been doing like a leave, and I went to a chiropractor this afternoon, and it helped.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be back.
Ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da da, ya da da ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da da ya da ya da da, ya da da ya da ya da da. Ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da da, ya da 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 da, ya da da da, ya da da da, ya da da da.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Is this working? Yes, I think so. Yes. Awesome. Nice to be in this space, which is usually too cold. Tonight it feels perfect. So, welcome to everybody. We get to see the end of the week move and shift in our beautiful windows. I'm Rabbi Jessica Graff, joined on the bima by this like giant clergy staff we have for a minute. Rabbi Abby Phelps, Cantor Toby Glaser, almost soon to be Rabbi George Altshuler. We're really delighted to have you all here. So I think we have some special guests too. Perhaps you'll introduce your shirt twin.
Yes, my sister who the person wearing checks, the one who stands out. Yes, my sister is here from Australia, Miriam Glaser, and coming to visit for a little while. So very excited to have her here.
Welcome, welcome. And you also have an honored guest here.
It's a family affair, yeah.
A week, so she's old hat already. But yes, my mother, Ellen Weiss Phelps, is here in the front. So if you haven't had a chance to say hello to her, please do.
Welcome to both of you guys. And perhaps we have other visitors. Has anybody never been here before? I suspected. Will you guys, maybe, Miles, will you introduce your family for us? Will you stand up and your family, your friends, I don't know who these lovely people are. Who'd you bring?
This is my mother, Carol, and my boyfriend Alex, and this is my friend Alana.
Great. Welcome, you guys. We're really happy to have you tonight, too. And anybody else never been here? Okay. Well, welcome to everybody. Please take just a moment and say Shabbat Shalom to the people around you as I invite Judy Wexler, our brand new president. Judy, please join us on the bima, our brand new president of the Board of Trustees. I don't know how long I get to say that for. Does that go for like the whole first year, or I don't know? But it's still pretty new. Couple of weeks. Welcome from our board.
I'll tell you when the huge learning curve is over and then we can stop saying new. As always, it's a pleasure to welcome all of you here on behalf of the Board of Trustees. And this is a time of, it's been a year, 2 years, of such chaos. And so being able to come together in community here or from home, connecting with us here, I think is very special. And to find moments of peace, to find the moments to appreciate the beauty of the world, which is sometimes hard to see and feel with so much going on in the world, and to have the moments to reflect on how our values and the teaching of our tradition helps us deal with what we're experiencing in the world and with the people around us. So it's a pleasure to be here together with all of you. I've spent the last couple of weeks talking to a lot of congregants. I am amazed by all of the things that our congregation is doing, the ideas that people have about things that they want to do. You all are a very special group of people, and I feel really honored to be getting to know more and more and more of you, and to learn more about what's involved in making Sherith Israel absolutely everything we hope it would be. So thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. And I understand Bill and Shira have a very important date on this. Is it this week, your anniversary? How long? Sunday. So we would like to honor you as you honor us by inviting you to light our Shabbat candles tonight. How many years have you been married? 28 years, but it's not the 28th. It's 28 years on Sunday. So I remember when I was here as an intern in the summer of 2001, you were giddy newlyweds. It was so cute, and here you are now, 28 years in. So, Mazel Tov. Please join us. I forgot to introduce Jonathan. He needs no introduction. Everybody knows him. You can't even move. Poor thing. Has a neck stiffness. But Jonathan just got back from the most amazing trip. If you're not Facebook friends with him, you should become Facebook friends with him immediately, because he goes on the coolest journeys. And of course, Jonathan Dimmick, our music director, is here with us tonight. And also, Zach Migdale is helping us stream this to home. Alan Mervis is welcoming. David and Nicole downstairs. It takes a team. So, thank you all.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shel Shabbat.
Amen.
And Mazel Tov. We'll continue welcoming Shabbat as we let this kind of crazy week, you seem to say that every week. We let the crazy week stay outside as we build community and build a quiet space for our own reflections. Right here, you can turn to page 20 for Lecha Dodi as we welcome in the angels of Shabbat.
Lecha Dodi. Sorry, the Talmud. That's okay. No problem. Let's do. Should we do B7? Take your time. There we go. Lecha Dodi, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. lecha דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם התפארת ולתהילה. lecha דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי הם מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שידברי כבוד אדוני אלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
We turn to page 28 as we prepare ourselves for the evening service. We enter into that service with these words of Baruch Hu, declaring that in fact we are a community prepared to pray together. Page 28.
את אדוני המבורך ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד ידי די ידי די 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 ידי די ידי די 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 ידי די 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 ידי די ידי די 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 ידי די ידי די 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 ידי די ידי די 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 ידי די 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 די
Every evening we thank God for the night which comes to give us rest and the day which we know will return in the morning to give us warmth and life. And we say this prayer at the bottom of page 30. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv haravim. Page 32.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת עמדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו וקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Please be seated. The Hafta is on page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת פעם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We continue together at the top of page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים. זה לי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. יאי די די יאי די 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 יאי די 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 יאי די 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 יאי די 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 יאי 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 די 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 יאי Adonai et Yaakov, ugalo miyad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
We turn to page 43 as we ask God for peace and a little bit of rest in our tumultuous world. Our ancestors have prayed these words for generations. They still hold so much beauty for us. Give us a place to rest, Adonai, our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours, and we pray over the entire world. Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Ve'hamidenu shomrenu l'chayim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us daily wrong from right.
When we come together as a community, we always pray for the health and the healing of those in our lives whom we love. We turn to page 253 for Misha Berach.
Source of strength, who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
On this Shabbat, we pray for the healing of Tzur Miriam Bat Chana Moshe, Aharon Ben Tzvi, Jim Blattner, Bob Fonero, Jeremy Frick, William Kurian, Agnes Rothblatt, Gay Seiler, Dr. Eric Tabus, Shell Wolf, and those whom you name out loud now.
bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We now rise for the Amidah, the standing prayer, the central prayer of our service. And we find the beginning of the the beginning of the Amidah, Adonai Sephatai, on page 46. Please join us.
Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Ufiyagi Tehilatecha, Ufiyagi Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Ufiyagi Tehilatecha, Ufiyagi Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ברופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה החיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We'll spend the next few moments in silent prayer. When you have finished your prayers, you may be seated.
ratzon imrefi Yul ratzon imrefi Ve'yon libi lefanecha Adonai suri ve'gali Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart be acceptable before you. O God, my rock and my redeemer. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, ve'imru.
Our rabbinic intern, George Altschuler, to deliver the Drash, the Devar Torah, this evening.
Shabbat shalom.
Okay. We are in an awe-inspiring space right now. Let's take a moment to take it in. From the 1,109 light bulbs to the dome, our beautiful dome, the stained glass windows. For those of you streaming online, take a moment to picture this beautiful sanctuary. Let's take a moment and let it sink in. I know that I will never forget hearing Cantor Martin Feldman chant Avinu Malkeinu in this very space on Rosh Hashanah when I was about 12 or 13 years old. I experienced in that moment what Abraham Joshua Heschel calls awe or radical amazement. I didn't know those words at that time when I was 11 or 12, but looking back on it, I was just overcome by the splendor and the majesty of this space and of that music. I've had this experience happen to me at other times also. One of the first times I felt this in nature was when I was 13 years old, hiking with some other 13-year-old boys in on the Sonoma coastline, and I looked out and I saw the most beautiful sunset I'd ever seen, with the sun glistening off the blue water and the golden California summer grass before me. The 13-year-old talk of computer games and sports and card games, all of that just evaporated. We were overcome by the splendor of what we saw. I felt that again when I was actually eye level with the peaks in our beautiful Yosemite Dome on the top of Cloud's Rest, the beautiful hike in Yosemite. I was overcome by the splendor of what I saw with a 360-degree view of looking down at Half Dome. It was just incredible. For Heschel, this experience of awe is at the foundation of Judaism. This encounter with what he calls the awesome or the radically amazing moves him to belief in God. Heschel writes that we can't quite put words to this experience. He calls it ineffable, but he argues that this awe is the bedrock upon which Judaism lays. In his book, God in Search of Man, Heschel writes, "Awe rather than faith is the cardinal attitude of the religious Jew." Still, I think we would be missing something important if we thought Judaism were about only the awesomeness and majesty of God. Another important aspect to God and Judaism, and also to Heschel's thought, is that God cares about us. God protects us. This idea of an intimate relationship with God, of a God that cares about us, is perhaps no better encapsulated than the words to my left, the priestly blessing taken from our Torah portion this week, Naso. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May Adonai bless you and protect you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May Adonai shine Adonai's face upon you and show you favor. Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'asem lecha shalom. May Adonai lift up Adonai's face to you and grant you peace. In this blessing from this week's Torah portion, there's this palpable desire for comfort and an intimate relationship with God. We see in the first line, the prayer asks for protection with the verb lishmor, which means to guard or protect. There's also the tender image of God's face, which appears twice actually in the blessing in the second and third lines. And of course, the prayer ends with what is perhaps the best known word in Hebrew, shalom, which means peace and wholeness. The priestly blessing offers us a God with whom we can be in close relationship. I'll never forget the first time I saw this prayer written on 2 tiny amulets in the Israel Museum in Jerusalem. The words I saw were 2,700 years old. You can barely see them. It's tiny script. It's hardly readable. I could barely see them, but I believe the biblical scholars who say that it's there in the ancient Hebrew script. The ancients took these words very seriously. Biblical scholar Shauna Delansky writes, "We think today of a blessing as a nice thing to do, whether in response to a sneeze or as part of a ritual designed to bestow positive divine attention. In the ancient world, though, blessings were often perceived as magical rituals. Blessing and curses were understood to have real power to effect change in the human realm. When our ancient forebears were asking for protection from God, they were asking in a personal and direct way. It's tempting to think that our ancient forebears thought that this prayer on our wall would really work. Nowadays, of course, we also need protection from a higher power. The news out of Uvalde, Texas is still fresh in our minds, even if it happened 3 weeks ago. I know many of us still feel the outrage, fear, and horror that we felt when we first heard the news. Of course, we are also entering California drought season, and many of us fear for the future of our region, our country, and our world as catastrophic global climate change continues. If you've been watching TV this today and yesterday, you'd see the January 6th hearings on TV. I know that many of us are concerned about the future of democracy in this country. The list goes on. Of course, we also pray for protection in our personal lives. We pray for the protection of our health, our careers, our ability to do good in the world, our loving relationships. I think this dual nature of God as both awesome and intimately in our lives plays out also in the architecture of this space. As I've grown older since that original experience of awe hearing Cantor Feldman sing, I've come to appreciate the warmth of the physical space we are in. Certainly there's the warmth of us, of the people in this space, but there's also warmth built into the architecture we're sitting in. There's the yellow of the light bulbs, the reds of the chairs, and the reds of the carpet, and I think nothing is warmer than the words written on that wall, and also the words of Psalm 121, which might be fodder for another sermon, but that's also a very warm sentiment. How is it that this awesome God, the God of Yosemite and clouds rest and majesty, how is it that that awesome God also cares about us? I think that is one of the greatest mysteries at the heart of Judaism. I can't explain it, but I don't think that not being able to explain it makes it less true. This paradox of God being at once the God of radical amazement and our intimate protector is perhaps nowhere better articulated in Judaism in the prayer Adon Olam, which we'll sing at the conclusion of our services. Adon Olam begins by describing the God of awesomeness, the God of majesty. Here's the English translation of the prayer from Mishkan Tefillah. You are our eternal God who reigned before any being had been created. When all was done according to your will, when you were called ruler. And after all ceases to be, you alone will rule in majesty. You have been, are, and will be in glory. You are one. None other than you can compare to you or consort with you. You are without beginning, without end. To you belong power and dominion. And now we'll see that the prayer shifts. And you are my God, my living Redeemer, my rock in times of trouble and distress. You are my standard bearer and my refuge, my benefactor when I call you. Into your hands I entrust my spirit when I sleep and when I wake. And with my spirit, my body also. Adonai is with me, and I shall not fear. There's a certain harmony in both Judaism and in the architecture of this sanctuary we're in. The different characteristics of Jewish faith portrayed in both our religion generally and the structure specifically blend together into one. Like Judaism, this sanctuary is majestic and also warm. And so, may we learn from the wisdom of the structure we are in to appreciate that God's grandeur comes with God's care. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be so.
Thank you for sharing those beautiful words of comfort and divinity with us. And also for beautifully setting up your own class. So as you can tell, our student rabbi, George Altschuler, is very interested in Abraham Joshua Heschel. And you will be teaching a 3-part class, I believe. And can you remind me when it starts? June something. Last Thursday in June, yes. So if you enjoyed that sermon, you want to know more about Abraham Joshua Heschel, please join us for those classes beginning on the last Thursday of June. We're going to take a moment now to acknowledge and recognize and celebrate all the simchas that are being enjoyed in our community this Shabbat, all the joyous occasions. I know of at least a couple. We know that Bill and Shira Shore are about to celebrate their 28th anniversary. We'll get to Miles in just a minute. But is there anybody else who has a simcha they'd like to share with the community? Ruth, please go ahead.
After too many days, my parents are both COVID-free.
Woo!
And tomorrow, my sister and I will be reading names at the AIDS quilt in Golden Gate Park
Oh, cool.
in memory of our brother Matt.
What time is that happening?
It starts early in the morning. We're doing it at 12:30.
It's sort of all day? Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for letting us know about that. Ruth and her sister will be reading names at the AIDS Memorial Quilt in Golden Gate Park in honor of your brother, Matt. And also, we're very, very excited that Hal and Dorothy are liberated. Yes, Lane, please.
Just wanted to thank everybody. We had the RAC California rollout of the climate section campaign last night, and Sherith Israel was very well represented, some of us here, and I'm very much looking forward to as we move along, involving more and more of us in this incredibly important work as, it's been referenced already, that we need.
Didn't we have something like 18 logins?
At least. And
Yeah.
then we had the kids, who there were several
Yeah, there were some teens here. Indeed. And Zach McDale and George, we were all together with the teens, enjoying the RAC Climate Tzedek kickoff, and some of the teens are even feeling inspired. One of them emailed Rabbi Julie Sachs-Thaler and said she might want to help with planning what legislation the RAC will support. So really excited for how engaged our congregation is in this really important effort. Someone else had a hand over here. Oh, sure, you had something else. Please.
Some of you know my daughter Cheryl Kaskowitz. She wrote a book called
Ooh.
God Bless America, and her second book was just, she's going to be publishing her second book through Pegasus Books.
Wow. Congratulations to Shira's daughter Cheryl, who will be publishing her second book. Mystery title by Cheryl Kaskowitz. Yes, congratulations. Yes, Jacqueline, please.
Okay, 21 years ago, Naso was my Torah portion for my adult bat mitzvah. There were four of us, and Laura Olson was in the group. Can't remember the other two. They were no longer, they left Sherith Israel shortly after, but celebrating, and I'm going to chant Torah this morning.
Oh, wonderful. Well, happy anniversary of your adult bat mitzvah. Yeah, Zach, please. Yes, the technology is behaving itself. It is succumbing to Zach's will, and it is excellent. Did you want to say something?
It's great to have my sister here. It's always wonderful to see family.
Yes, so nice to have my mom here, your sister. And unless there's someone else, with that, I will introduce, speaking of family, we want to invite Miles Sarin to come up. He actually completed his conversion to Judaism quite some time ago, about a year ago, I believe, but he has also been traveling a great deal, and it was COVID, and many things were happening, and we're so excited that now we have this opportunity to formally acknowledge that he completed his entry into the Jewish people. I say completed because it was a long journey, and he was already very much on his way to being part of the Jewish people before his mikveh ceremony. Miles, if you could come on up over this way. I just want to say I had the opportunity to do a lot of studying with Miles in the preparation for his mikveh, and I was so impressed by the depth of your thinking about Judaism, about theology, about philosophy. You're so curious and so thoughtful, and it was so wonderful to get to learn with and from you. So thank you very much for allowing me to be part of that process with you. Can you share a little bit with us about your conversion experience or about your name?
Sure. I don't.
Yeah.
Thanks. I don't usually like to start off a speech with a message of hate, but I will say that I really do hate public speaking.
That's fair.
Yeah. Why I chose to become an attorney, I have no idea. So, that is to say, this will be brief. Actually, I do know why I became an attorney. It's because of my stepfather, who passed away, must have been 7 years ago now. And I just want to say that he was a huge part of why I'm here today. He's the reason that I chose my name, Avishai, for my Jewish name. To me, it the translation was gift of my father, which I'm sure they had a different father in mind, but for me, I immediately thought of Jeff, and I remember the time after he passed away feeling disconnected and lost, and the gift he gave me was absolutely Judaism. It's the first time I've really felt a part of a community, that I just felt accepted, and without him, I wouldn't be here. This is something he gave to me. So he's a huge inspiration for me, and I'll always be grateful that I found this place. I think everyone probably remembers the first time they walked into this temple and feeling that sense of awe and inspiration, and everything just started to click when I started the conversion process and coming here and feeling grateful towards my family that brought me here and this community. So I guess all I really want to say is thank you.
Well, thank you, Miles. We're so glad you're with us. And I would also like to invite Miles's conversion mentor, Maurice Kamens, to come up. And Maurice, I warned you needed to bring some friends. So please bring 3 friends with you, if you could. I was going to say, if you'd like to say something, please do.
I started working with Miles in the middle of
Gotta
a
do it to the mic, though.
I started working with Miles, quick story, with Miles in the middle of the pandemic, which was a interesting way to meet somebody through Zoom. Fortunately, he was willing to risk, and I was willing to risk, and I have a big backyard that's accessible without going through the house, so Miles and I started meeting. The most unique thing about this young man is he sat there and said, by the time I'm done, I want to develop a unified theory of Judaism. Now, I have no idea what that meant. I still don't know what it means, but if anybody can pull it off, I'm sure Miles can.
Thank you. If you would, Maurice and friends, if you would hold this over Miles, please.
I need my 3 friends.
3 of your many friends. There we go. Beautiful. Miles, as you continue your Jewish journey, may you find only loving, open arms in any synagogue or community that you walk into. May you find reflections of yourself, your stories, your triumphs, your challenges, all throughout Jewish text and history. May you wrestle with the multifaceted teachings and wisdom that you have inherited. May you find solace, hope, and wonder in prayer. May you be guided by the paths of righteousness that have been paved before you. May you feel a part of building a vibrant, complex, and abundant Jewish future. And may you feel at home in yourself, your family, and your community here at Sherith Israel and beyond. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God bless you and keep you. May God shine God's light upon you and be gracious to you. May God turn God's face toward you and grant you wholeness and peace. Ken Yehi Ratzon, so may it be. Congratulations. Don't go down quite yet, because we're all going to rise now in honor of this simcha and all the other ones that were mentioned, and join in the Shehechianu prayer. Yes?
The book is called The Music Unit.
The Music Unit?
A book about FDR's hidden folk music program.
The Music Unit, a book about FDR's hidden music program. So emblazon that into your minds. We're going to remain standing now for the Aleinu, the prayer in which we remind ourselves and one another that it is upon us, it is our responsibility to build the perfected world that we wish to live in. Please join us on page 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמן והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. If you are observing Shiva or Shloshim on this Shabbat, the first 7 or 30 days of mourning for a loved one, please rise and share their name with us. We remember in this first year of mourning our beloved Rabbi Emeritus, Marty Wiener. If you are observing the first year of mourning for a loved one, please rise and share their name. The perpetual memorials in our community are Ingrid Apter, Shoshana Chana Asher, Judy Migdale, Leon Mervis, Joseph Sattler, Harold Weiss, and Joanne May Weiss. On this Shabbat, we also observe the following yartzites, anniversaries of death. Please rise as your loved one's name is read. We remember Michelle Allen, Dr. Kenneth Barton, Mary Brisker, Abraham D. Erdberg, Rose Fearberg, Leslie Fiskella, Bernard Jaffe, Ruth Kagan, Alfred Karp, Mark Lazarwith, Lillian Liss, Mark M. Morris, Gail Moss, Anna Constance Nervo, Richard Pelsman, Philip Rice, Roger Allen Rogan, Suzanne Rosenberg, Leonard Schnitzer, Betty Vaupin, and Barbara Wunsch. If you're observing a yartzeit for someone whose name I have not read, please rise and share their name with us. And now we rise together as one community in solidarity with our mourners and join together in the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yit gadal v'yit kadash me rabbah, v'yamad divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shmei dukudsha b'richu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, amen. May the one who creates peace on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all the world. Together we say, amen. You may be seated. We're going to make just a few announcements before we conclude our service. There will be Torah study tomorrow morning at 9:15, I believe, with Rabbi Graff? Yes, with Rabbi Graff. And also, I believe we will get to hear a little bit of Parshat Naso from Jacqueline, so wonderful. What else do we have to announce at the moment?
Well, next Friday night is a special send-off for our high school seniors. I think this was your idea, so maybe you should.
It was Natalie's,
Natalie's.
and it was a very good one. Yes, we're going to have a little senior send-off next Friday night. We have a number of graduating seniors going off to have new adventures in the fall, so we're going to celebrate them. We're going to give them an opportunity to be blessed and recognized, so please join us for that if you can.
Also, you mentioned George's upcoming class.
Yes.
The dates are, is there actually a leaflet that's for, no, okay, so this is an old leaflet, don't take this one. But George's class is gonna be 3 Thursday nights. As he said, beginning June 30th, we're really excited to offer that. And meant to bring my prop up here. David Pearlstein just gave me a hot off the press, I think, slightly warm-ish off the press, copy of his new book, Lola Flores. And I'm holding this up because it represents our amazing Summer Salon series. We have a whole bunch of writers, published authors in this community, and I got them all to say yes. They're all going to read parts of their book for us on Wednesday nights beginning in the middle of July. It's going to be in person, kind of salon style with wine and cheese, and an opportunity to learn from many of our authors who have published in the last year. So we're really excited. David's is, I think, the second salon, and I think it's Wednesday night, July 20th. So we'll hear from so many great people and very, very different kinds of books, all 6 that we'll learn about. So excited to showcase the great brilliance, yet another skill, of our Sherith Israel congregants. I think that's all.
We have Yap next week on Friday night at 7:30 down at Santino's Vinos. So if you're in your 20s and 30s or close enough, please join us after services for a glass of wine and some pizza. Yes, there is a Little's, it's been called a hike, but it's more of an exploration with myself and Carolyn Mulcahy,
a glorious outdoor meetup.
A glorious outdoor meetup is how you could phrase it, yes.
In Lafayette Park, correct?
In Lafayette Park, yes, 10:30 a.m.
Yeah, so if you are someone between the age of 5 and 0, or you have such a person, right, or close enough, or you have such a person in your life, please bring them tomorrow 10:30, Lafayette Park. There will be sensory play, there will be music, it will be really lovely, so please join us if you can.
Yes.
I think that's everything. I'm sure there are many other things coming to pass, but those are some good ones.
So many, but those are the ones we'll focus on. Yes.
Yes, indeed. So we're going to conclude our service now with Kiddush and Motzi and a concluding song. So please rise for the Kiddush blessings, which you can find on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit. כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. Baruch atah Adonai v'kadesh ha-Shabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim. Jacqueline, if you would like to, in honor of the fact that, first of all, it is the anniversary of your adult bat mitzvah, and second of all, that you are the child of a baker, would you like to come up and say motzi for us? I didn't realize it was multi-generational.
Generations of bakers.
All right, from Poland to New York to LA, bakers all around. So you know from chalot. Whichever one you prefer. Just reveal the challah and do whatever feels right.
Ooh. Ah.
I'm sure someone did.
I mean, a member? We know who
Probably
that might be.
not. Ruth, did you make anything really cool this Shabbat, though, that we should know about? Ah, pretzel challah. Very good. All right, so we can all wish this were Ruth's pretzel challah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz v'te'avon.
Amen.
Thank you. And as our rabbinic intern, George, indicated earlier, we are going to conclude our service with Adon Olam, in which we're going to celebrate all the many facets of God, God's immanence, God's transcendence, greatness, intimacy, all of those things. And you can...
The setting is more about fun than awe, but it's a beautiful setting.
But the awe is built into the language, so it's fine.
Built into the song, exactly.
And I believe that we are on page 321
That's
in
it.
our prayer book, so
Yes.
please join us.
Adon olam asher malach, yai-di-di-di-di-di-di-di-di-di, v'terem kol yetzir nivra, yai-di-di-di-di-di-di-di-di, v'nasa b'chefzo kol, yai-di-di-di-di-di-di-di, azai melech shmo nikra, yai-di-di-di-di-di-di, ואחרי ככלות הכל, לבדו ימלוך דורה, והוא היה והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה, יי-די-די-די-די, אדון עולם אשר מלך, יי-די-די-די-די-די-די-די, בטרם כל יציר נברא, יי-די-די-די-די-די-די-די, ונשא בחפצו כל, יי-די-די-די-די-די-די-די, אזי מלך שמו נקרא, יי-די-די-די-די-די-די, והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשילו להכבירה, בלי ראשית בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמזרע, יי-די-די-די-די-די, אדון עולם אשר מלך, יי-די-די-די-די-די-די-די, בטרם כל יציר נברא, יי-די-די-די-די-די-די-די, ונשא בחפצו כל, יי-די-די-די-די-די-די, אזי מלך שמו נקרא, יי-די-די-די-די-די, והוא אלי וחי גואלי, וצורכב לי בצרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, יי-די-די-די-די-די, אדון עולם אשר מלך, יי-די-די-די-די-די-די-די, בטרם כל יציר נברא, יי-די-די-די-די-די-די-די, ונשא בחפצו כל, יי-די-די-די-די-די-די, אזי מלך שמו נקרא, יי-די-די-די-די-די, בידו אבקיר רוחי, ותשען ואיירה, ואם רוחי גווייתי, אדוני לי ולא יירא, יי-די-די-די-די-די, אדון עולם אשר מלך, יי-די-די-די-די-די-די-די, בטרם כל יציר נברא, יי-די-די-די-די-די-די-די, ונשא בחפצו כל, יי-די-די-די-די-די-די, אזי מלך שמו נקרא, יי-די-די-די-די-די.
Shabbat Shalom.